Hi, Scott Machine Gun Dad. Welcome back to my channel. We posted a couple Armorlight videos, both the AR-180, which was a Sterling, and an AR-180B, and I mentioned to Nick about the Nodak spud lower. So here it is. This is the Nodak spud lower. Now, the Nodak spud lower was for a direct replacement for the AR-180B lower. It was not a direct replacement for the AR-180 lower, but I said, well, I thought to myself, let's try it on both. So let's zoom in close and I'll show you the difference, and then we're going to take them out. We moved in close and I want to show you the difference between the various lowers for the Armorlight. All right, here, this is a Howa stamped sheet metal lower. It has the folding stock, the ambi safety, stamped sheet metal. This is the AR-180B, which is the polymer one-piece lower with the AR-15 style controls. I put the KNS pins in it. And this is the Nodak spud lower. Now, why do I think you should have this instead of this for sure, and possibly this one? Well, first, I'm going to roll this over. These parts right here are unobtainium. You cannot find an AR-180 stamped sheet metal hammer. So by shooting this one, you don't have to worry about breaking parts that you can't replace. All right, put the hammer down. I mean, even the parts in here aren't easy to find, the safety or anything like that. Come over here to the 180B. Yes, these are AR-15 parts in this little shelf. Okay, the problem with that is right here, this is just polymer, and as the gun came, it came with this pin and C-clip that goes on right here. When people would field strip these, they push the pin in and the receiver rocks forward, and when the receiver would bottom out, it would put all that weight of the receiver rocking forward on these two little pieces of plastic. And what would happen? These broke off so often, there were companies making repair parts where you actually glued on new pieces. So if you want to keep your gun original and you don't want to worry about breaking it every time you open it, you want to replace this, right? So where does that bring you? That brings you to this, the Nodak spud lower. Now, first of all, you'll notice this is aluminum. This is polymer. This is stamped sheet metal. This has the same controls, but they took the time to make it dressed up and make it look like the original. Okay, he put the extension on here. He put this reinforcement here, which really doesn't do anything, and he added the bulge here, which is where the auto sear would have gone on the original design. But internally, it's AR-15 parts. The only part that's not AR-15 is the last round hole open and the detent on the selector switch. This is such a good idea that I'm very angry with Palmetto for not making it, because in my opinion, they could start making 180s using the design they already have and the 180B upper, which is super cheap to make, and we'd have a new market AR-180. And if you did that, if you made this lower, anybody that has these is going to buy it. Plus, if you made the upper, anybody that had an original upper will take their original upper off their gun and put on a new upper. Again, there are 100,000 people out there that own these guns, 150,000 of these guns out there, and you would solve the product support problem simply by making the parts. I wanted to show you this up close so you understand the difference when we talk about it. Let's move back out. Hi, we just did it up close, and I forgot to mention a couple things about the Nodak spud lower, which makes it even better than the AR-180B lower. First of all, if you look back here, it's not only cut for the AR-180B recoil assembly, it's also cut for the originals. So yes, it was designed to go on the original uppers. But the big thing, especially for the 180B, which you will see in the field strip with that pin that Nick will show you, This has a disassembly pin or a front pin like an AR-15. It's captive and it doesn't have a C-clamp. So when you go to take it off the gun, it's way easier than having to remove that C, not C, I guess it's an E-clip off the pin. So since it's so easy to do, you won't be lazy and not want to do it, and therefore you won't damage your lower. Just a remarkable piece of kit. Now that I've taken up a few minutes of your time more, let's move back up. You just saw the difference up close between all three lowers. Let's go to the range and see how they do. Alright, the scope on that rifle must be off. Hit the aim high right. Come down 2 feet. Up at 6 inches. Up an inch.
A little bit further right.
I got nothing.
Further right. And this one's just good where it's at.
I didn't even use the sights. We had a little problem, a couple problems. Not with this one, not with the 180B, other than the fact that Shannon, when she shot the 180B, she liked the orange sight post, and I gotta admit, it jumped out great. But this is from Brownells. It just broke off. It just fell off, and in process of falling off, I lost my sight detent and spring, which fortunately is the same as an AR-15, so I can just replace it. The problem is now I have a broken piece of plastic stuck in some threads, so I'll have to drill that out. What a joy. Now, on an unrelated note, what did you think of the lower, Nick?
This, you weren't kidding when you said that the Nodak spud is probably the best lower to have for a 180. The trigger is really, really nice. It's just the best out of the, what, 3 or 4 that we shot?
Two.
Two.
This will be the third. But you're still using the standard 180 upper.
Yeah, everything in the upper is the same, but your trigger's great. I really like the grip on this thing.
That's an M16A2 grip.
Oh, well.
That's what it is. It's off a cold M16A2.
Disregard that. The controls are great. Seating a magazine in is easy if you know what you're doing.
Well, and that's what's something that we need to bring up. It worked fine on this one. It did not work fine on this one. And the reason for that, and I wasn't thinking, in the 180, the last round hold open, they changed the design for the polymer lower. The Nodak spud lower has the last round hold open of a 180B and not a 180. They're in different locations. So, if you give me a second, I'm going to pause, because I didn't film this part on the intro. I want to pause and show you what I'm talking about. Right where my finger is the last round hold open. This is the last round hold open out of a 180B. It's in a different location than it is in the 180. So what is happening is, at least my best guess is, it's interfering. It's not cut properly. So what's happening is, if you notice, we had trouble with a couple rounds not feeding and stuff. The bolt hold open on this was interfering with the operation of this. What I would recommend, if you get a Nodak spud lower and you want to put it on your 180 upper, just I think it's AR-180.com or AR-180s.com sells a deletion where you just put a spacer in here, because this last round hold open also is your detent for your selector. So you can you put in his deletion kit and you can run the lower without a last round hold open, which would probably allow it to work with the 180 upper. So why the Nodak spud lower? Well, unlike the 180B, which was a fixed stock, if you remember, I don't remember, this one folds like the factory, not folds like the original. And the other thing is, like Nick said, it's all AR-15 parts inside except for that one part I was talking about. So parts are readily changeable. And I should also mention the guy at the 180S or AR-180S, you have to go look it up, his name's Big Rich. He did a retro grip to mimic, remember how curved the original was?
Yeah.
That I can take this off and put a retro grip on it.
Parts interchangeability is a really big thing on certain
So
things.
basically, it'll mount on an AR-15 style system, but it has the nice curve of the AR-18 style grip. If you have a 180B or a 180 and you're worried about breaking parts, I don't understand why Palmetto is not still making these, because they own the rights to it now. It's fantastic. It is fantastic. If you have one of these original 180s and you don't want to break your trigger parts, which are irreplaceable, you can throw this on, as long as you don't have the last round hold open. But I can live without a last round hold open if I'm saving a $2,000 lower. The only thing that for me that was a bummer is it's not cut for full auto parts. This little bump here, which is where the auto sear actually goes on the lower, on a real one, is solid. So you can't make this an AR-18 lower. Is it worth it? I think I paid $350 for it, $400.
$300 to save a quite pricey lower seems worth it if you're interested in actually shooting the gun without. I mean, at this point, the AR-180s are almost a historical piece with how old they are.
Yeah, I thought when we made the original videos, I said you can get one of these for $2,000 in good condition. I was wrong. I was about $1,500 low. And one of these I said you can get for $1,200. I was wrong. I was about $500 low. So the prices of Armalites have become very expensive, and I know the Nodak spuds, they don't come up very often on Gunbroker, but if you've got one of these rifles, get one of these lowers. Thanks for coming to the channel. As always, if you like, comment, subscribe, we will read it. We will try to comment if it's relative, and hi to my trolls, both of you. Thanks again.